So anyway, let's just let him go at it for the next 30 minutes, and we're terribly, terribly thankful to have him. And we created this bonus session specifically just to make sure he could be here.
Thank you, Joel, very much. That's very kind. So we having fun yet this morning? Yeah. All right. Okay. I love these early risers. People who get out and actually, interested in learning. So how many business owners are in the room? Can I see the show of hands? Okay. So how many employees? Okay. How many wouldn't raise your hands no matter what I ask? How many of the business owners wish you were employees? Okay. Yeah. Good. Excellent. Okay. Well, pretty much a normal crowd. Okay. So this conference is about innovation. Is that right? It's about innovation, creativity, and healthcare. I'm trying to figure out if that's an oxymoron or not, but probably not. Sort of like military intelligence, I'm not sure. But excuse me just a second. Let me just make sure this is off. This is one of the things that speakers should always do, right, is make sure your phone is in the off or silent position. Anybody else need to do that? See, I did that just to remind you in case you needed to adjust your phone. So what's that perfect timing? See, right at the beginning? Okay, excellent. All right, so here's what I'd like to maybe share with you a little bit this morning. I'm a business coach. I was a CEO of a hospital and executive vice president of the 10 hospital Baycare health system for 6 years. And before that ran their materials management. So I was the purchasing dude. I was the guy that did all of the purchasing decisions and contracting for the 10 hospital Baycare health system. So last year I spoke a little bit about, what's the mindset of the CEO? What are they really, looking for, and sort of shared that. This year I'd like to talk to you a little bit about what I've seen 5 years coaching businesses and executives across just a whole variety, over 70 different kinds of companies. And both at the senior executive level in big companies like PwC and Moffitt Cancer Center and places where I have clients right now, to plumbers and electricians and family, small family businesses, which we love as well. So there is a theme, though, across all of those people. The number one thing that leads to success, and particularly to creativity and innovation, is one very simple thing that is so difficult to challenge or to manage and to sort of create in your life, and that's what I would call mindset. Attitude and belief is the key. So I thought I'd just spend a little bit of time talking with you today about what do we actually see in that space. What does that really mean? I want to start by just sharing a little bit of research. There's a lot of research on this subject right now. And let me just tell you that the evidence is irrefutable in terms of the connection between mindset, attitude, sort of belief system. It's irrefutable, the connection between that and success in any endeavor. Okay, there's just tons of research. In fact, I'm going to point you to a book today which is one of the best books that I know that just does a really nice job of sort of summarizing that research and giving you some very practical ways of how you can begin to examine your own mindset for opportunities to improve, which then, no doubt about it, is going to improve performance, okay? But here's some other sort of interesting research that's getting a lot of buzz right now in the sort of C-suite levels of major corporations across America for very good reasons. This is some research, for example, from McKinsey & Company, which is one of the biggest consulting firms of Fortune 100 companies in the world. And they found that performance generated 50 to 140% increase in performance based on attitude of the employees, based on mindset of employees. So between 50 and 130% difference in performance. That's pretty dramatic. And so here's the thing. For the more complex jobs, it was on the higher end. So if you're in a role where it takes a lot of thinking and innovation, right? Then attitude is a much bigger impact on performance than in more menial jobs, as you might imagine. So here's another study from, this is Towers & Perrin, looking at 50 global companies. Towers & Perrin, if you don't know, is probably the largest global health or HR consulting firm. They do large. So when I was at Baycare, we had Towers & Perrin in all the time, helping us with looking at salary structures, and a number of other, high-end HR issues. So Towers and Perrin looked at 50 companies. There was and they're talking about employee engagement. Employee engagement had a 19% increase in operating income and almost a 28% growth in earnings per share. So companies that hire more engaged employees are performing at a much higher level, dramatically. There is so much research on this. So the question is sort of, where are you? Right? So this is all fine and well to talk about others, but you're interested in success in your career and in your companies. So where are you on the scale? So if we had an A, B, C, D scale, okay, and sort of looked at what's your level of engagement, what's your level of energy. So, here's a definition of engagement. A worker knows what to do, is emotionally connected to the organization and its leadership, and routinely gives their voluntary and discretionary effort. I love that phrase. Now, how many of you know people that give their voluntary and discretionary effort every day, right? You know some of those folks? And then the other end of the scale are the people that quit but forgot to tell you, right? You know some of those? They quit a while ago. They just forgot to inform anybody. Right? They're cynical about everything in the workplace. They're not connected. They just really fault the leadership of the organization. They're not really connected with where the organization is going. Any of you ever had the experience of anybody like that? Right? So that's the other end of the scale. And what we know from the research is that about 21% of the work population is engaged. Those people that are giving their voluntary and discretionary effort to their work, they're fired up about it. They believe in leadership. And about another 40%, so a total of 60, are sort of, wanting to be engaged. I mean, they're pretty excited about their work. They're sort of the B's. Another 40% are sort of the B's if you did A, B, C, D. Okay, but that leaves 40% of people that are either sort of disenchanted, as they call it, or completely disengaged. That's a huge impact on the performance of organizations. And a lot of executives are starting to get that and see that. Okay, so many of you are business owners in the room. So for you, if you went through and actually scaled your workforce on an A, B, C, D, I've done this with a lot of companies and executives that we've done, it's really interesting. So what's that costing you? And for yourselves, what's that costing you in terms of your performance in your own role? And is that something we can do something about? Okay, so let me just spend a little time sort of talking to you about, what we've seen in terms of the question of, is there anything that we can, do about this? So here's one of the first principles I want to talk to you about that is extremely powerful. It's something that we use with all of our clients. And I'm sorry, I'm going to... Okay, good. It's this idea of above and below the line. Anybody in here heard about this concept before, above and below the line? Good, love it. Don't you love this? Okay, all right. So here's the line is the line of control. Okay? Would we all like to have a little more control in our lives, yes or no? Yeah, right? Okay, so below the line are three things. Blame, excuses, and denial. Everybody just read those out with me. Ready? Blame, excuse, and denial. What's the acronym form of those three words? Bad, right. So just a little memory hook to help you remember this, right? Because you think of a bad, you're horizontal, life is passing you by, right? Okay. So if this is where you are, if your circumstance or whatever is happening for you right now is the result of something else, someone else, it's the economy, right, or whatever your favorite wine is of the day. It's my husband, it's my wife, my son. If you have teenagers, God bless you, right? So, and here's the other one, is denial is like one of the worst, but this is actually an acronym. It stands for, I don't even notice I'm lying. That's what that stands for. Right? So this is the worst one, because when you're in denial, you know, you just like think life is great. Have you ever known people, they just like think they're really top performers? Oh, I'm so good. Right, meanwhile, you're going, an idiot, right? That's denial, okay? All right, have any of us ever been in denial? What do you think? No. Yeah, right. Yes, thank you very much. That would be denial. Thank you for giving me the illustration, right? So here's the thing, you know, it's so easy to go here, right? To be a victim of your circumstances, for it not being your fault. Whatever has happened and occurred for you, it's not my fault. Mary didn't do what she was supposed to do. Or whatever it is. Right? But when you're there, you have no control. So there's three things above the line. Ownership, accountability, and responsibility. Everybody read them out for me, ready? Ownership, accountability, and responsibility. What's the acronym there? OR, right. So you think about, you know, moving forward, steerage. Right, see, when you make a choice, it is completely your choice to take ownership, accountability, and responsibility for everything. You actually have an opportunity, because that's something you can do something about. See, if it's based on somebody else doing something, you're always waiting for that to happen, and that's your reason, and so you don't really have any control. Because can we control any other human being, yes or no? No. Right, the only person we can control is? Everybody say me? Me. Right. So that's as soon as you truly sort of own that. Now, I teach this all the time, and I'm really passionate about trying to be above the line. Do you think I'm ever below the line? Oh yeah, on a regular basis, right? Otherwise that would be denial, right? Right, so in fact, sometimes I'm so far below the line, I look up, I can't even see the line. You know, it's up there somewhere. Right, but I've surrounded myself with people and asked them to sort of coach me and challenge me when, you know, I'm being below the line, to help me get back up. Because why? Because I know that that's where the real opportunity is. As soon as I get, so my wife might say, so, do you think she gives me any coaching? Yes. Oh, yeah, right. She's the managing partner of our coaching firm, so she's already thinks she has a license for that. But I don't know what I was thinking. So anyway, she's Pam's coach, so you can ask her about that, right? All right, but she'll say things to me like, you know, Ford, don't you think you're being a little bit below the line? You know, usually I'm like, yeah, but just let me, wallow around down here a little bit. I'll get back up in a minute, right? But it's starting to notice that. Because, see, the problem is when you're in denial, you don't notice it. I'm trying to help you guys get a little bit out of denial right now and start noticing. Because here's the thing, folks. There's two things in this world. Only two things. Results or your reasons. The only two things. Well, some people I know are really in love with their reasons. They love those bad boys, and they got a few really special ones that they roll out on a regular basis. You know people like this? You know? Look in the mirror, might even be you, don't know. You know, with awareness comes responsibility. I'm just trying to make you aware of some things, because I'll tell you what, when we see clients, this is universal, who start taking this on, start really going after this, it makes a huge difference in people's performance. Because they're not sitting around complaining about what happened or what their competitors did or what happened in the marketplace. They're asking themselves the question. Here's the magic question. What's one thing I could do right now to improve my situation? What's one thing I could do right now to improve my situation? Because as soon as you ask that question, you're moving above the line. You get that? All right, so who knows Einstein's definition of insanity? Who's heard that? Okay, just shout it out, somebody.
Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Right, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, right? Einstein never said that. I was actually really curious because I had heard that. I always loved that saying, so I wanted to go find out. I thought, well, what was the context when he said that? I wanted to sort of get the exact quote and all that, Well, it turns out he didn't actually say it. But here's what he said that has caused people to sort of attribute that they sort of shorthanded what he said. What he said is that our current thinking, make sure I misspell a few words while I'm up here, will always lead to our current, he said, situation or results. Okay? Our current thinking will always lead to our current situation. You see, it's not possible for anything else to occur, okay? Because all of the actions and decisions that we make is based on our thinking, right? We think something, we say it to ourselves in our head, a little voice is talking to you all the time. You want to know which voice? It's the one I just said. What voice is he talking about? It's that one? Okay, it's that little voice inside of our head that's nonstop talking to us. Right? That's our thinking. Okay? And that's how we make decisions. Everything that you have in your life, every result you have in your career, is the result of, is based on some action or decision you made in the past. Right? And those actions and decisions that you took in the past was based on your best knowledge about what seemed like the right thing to do at the time. Am I right? So it was based on your current thinking. You can't make an action or decision about, something that's not first a thought, right? So our current thinking will always get us our current situation. Einstein said where people get confused is they think somehow they can use their current thinking to get new results. And he said that's not possible. He said the only way to get a new result is to get, everybody, new thinking. Right. So what's new thinking? See, that's interesting. All right, let me show you something. And get you a little insight here, perhaps, that will help you. All right, let's just think about the world of knowledge. All right? So here's the world of knowledge. Let's just take me and my knowledge of business, for example. Okay, just I don't want to pick on any of you. Of course, I could pick on you.
You could.
You're in denial. But if you just take my knowledge of business, okay, now I'm going to make this really big so you can actually see it. But there's a sliver out there of things that I know. For all of us, there's things we know, and we know that stuff, right? Okay, so there's things that we know, and for each of us that's a little bit different. But this is the sliver of things that I know. And then there's another sliver, again, I'm going to make this just really huge so you can see it for me. And these are things that I know, I don't know. See, for all of us, there's things that we know, and there's things that we know we don't know. I mean, I don't know anything about brain surgery, but I certainly know that that exists. And I've taken care of patients that have had brain surgery, but you wouldn't want me to be doing no brain surgery, right? Probably not, right? Because I don't really know, but I know I don't know that. You got me? But here's the insight. These are both things that you know. That makes up your current thinking. Things you know, and things that you know you don't know. Shapes your actions and decisions, which lead to your results. Are you following me so far? Mm-hmm. Okay, now this gets really interesting. At least I think so. How about you guys? What's this? Yeah, it's what you don't know, you don't know. You see it by its very nature, you don't know what that is. It's like, really, dude? Right? You don't know what that is. You don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what that is. And yet that's where new thinking is. It's in that space of stuff that you don't know, and you don't know, or something. I always feel like I'm in a time warp when I'm trying to explain this. I don't know. So how do we begin to get windows into this space? First of all, it's acknowledging that it exists. And then maybe trying to begin to employ some strategies for ourselves to get some windows into that space. Because if we don't, we're not going to get new thinking. Now, what are some things that you could do? You guys are all perfect examples of it, right? Yeah, attend conferences. Particularly around subjects that maybe you don't really know very much about. You see a conference like, I don't really know much about that. Yeah, right, being open-minded, looking for opportunities to be challenged, finding people that challenge you. See, for all of you, I was talking about above the line, below the line, you have this contract with your friends and one another. Right, a little bit, this is how the contract goes. Can I just pick on you a little bit? Sure. Okay, here. Jack, got it. So Jack, look, let's have this deal, okay? From time to time, I'm going to come, we're going to sort of get together because we're friends, okay? And I'm going to whine and moan about, you know, my wife, my kids, my boss at work, all the economy, crap that ain't working, okay? And you're going to listen to me, and you're going to sort of empathize with me and say, yeah, you're right. That's really, I can't believe he said that. That sucks. Right? And you're going to make me feel okay about my excuses, okay? Because here's the deal, Jack, okay? Because in the future, maybe even in the same setting, when you do that, then I'm going to be okay with you doing it too. Is that okay? Right, so that's our contract, right? You don't think that's true? You go try and break that thing. You try and break that contract. You say to Sultan, dude, it's just one thing about all these stories that you're telling me. A common denominator? So that would be you. Okay, try that. Right? Right? So then pretty soon people say, hey, well, how come you Sultan? I don't see you guys hanging out anymore. Oh, well, we kind of grew apart. Right? See, you're hanging out with everybody that just keeps reinforcing your same garbage and listens to you. You know, what if you found some people that you could hang out with, or that could be mentors or coaches that, you know, didn't listen to that stuff, that challenged you about your thinking, that didn't want to listen to your excuses, that would challenge you about being below the line, and about not taking ownership, accountability, and responsibility? Could that make a difference? What do you think, yes or no? Yes. Yeah, it's huge. It's huge, but you're not doing it because you haven't noticed this. I just want to bring it to your attention because, see, once you notice this, you could actually go do something about this, and it could change your world completely, because it begins to get you new thinking. You know, what are the things that you're reading? How much are you reading? Oh my God, there's so much knowledge to be had out there. But you guys are all in healthcare in some space, is that right? Anybody here like not in healthcare at all, has no clue about healthcare? Okay, good, thank you very much. It's awesome that you're here because you're going to learn, you're going to get exposed even more. Right, see what we do is, you know, we're in healthcare, we're in whatever our field is, and so we just keep going and studying that. Let me go to another conference on healthcare. Okay, it's like a muscle that we're overdeveloping. So you're walking around, you've got this huge healthcare knowledge muscle, and this side is kind of flabby. This side has anything to do with marketing and sales. Ew, sales, no, I don't know anything about sales. Finance, ew, I'm no good at numbers. You don't understand, I want to healthcare because I'm no good at numbers. Or whatever it is that you stay away from. There's a whole world of knowledge in other categories. What if you just started tackling some of that stuff a little bit? Started reading and studying some things that you don't have a clue about. In business and in insights about how people think. I mean, I shared with you, you know, some of the best literature that's out there right now about this whole idea about, you know, increased performance. Have any of you read Happiness Advantage? Other than our client sitting in the front row? You wrong, Vic. Right, okay. All right, so this is Sean Acor, Harvard professor, who does an awesome job of pulling together the literature over the last 20 years or so, and including some of his own research on the implications of people's attitude to performance. He's worked with, you know, Fortune 100 companies all over the world, you know, during the recession, helping them to implement some of these strategies and presents the results of that, which were very dramatic. Fabulous book. Okay, there's a lot of other things out there, like that. Let's just say business finance, I mean, how many of you really have gone and studied business finance or understand a balance sheet? I mean, would that help your insight, for example, about business and about the decisions your bosses are making? Might that shape the decisions you're making to a degree that you might improve your performance? Feel more well-rounded? What's that area of your development which you always have just sort of stayed away from? The ones I hear all the time are finance. Therefore, you don't understand, I'm no good at math. Let me see, you get to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. You get to use a calculator or a spreadsheet. Do you think you have the intelligence to do that? The answer, of course, is always what? Yes. Okay, but it's just like this block. We have these belief systems we run around with. They keep us from doing things. What is a belief? A belief is something we hold to be true, but isn't necessarily true. Right? Remember we used to think smoking was cool? I have a nursing background. I used to walk with doctors walked up and down the hallways of the hospital smoking cigarettes. You'd find ashtrays in a place like this all over the place. There might even be ashtrays in the conference room. People could smoke in the conference room. When I was in college at Penn State, we could smoke in class. I thought that was really cool. Right? That was our belief system. Remember people used to think that seatbelts were dangerous? Anybody old enough to remember that? I don't want to wear a seatbelt. I want to make sure I get thrown clear of the accident. Like, people really believe that stuff. All right, so what are some beliefs that you have right now that maybe at some point in the future you could be laughing about the way we're laughing about it right now? Do you think we have some of those? Yes or no? Yeah, so how do you start getting some insights into those things that might be really holding you back from the performance that you could be having? Covey, in his sort of very famous book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, long before we had the research to validate all this stuff, talked about this. In fact, habit number 1, anybody already know, here's a little test. Who knows what habit number 1 was in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? No, that's habit number 7.
Jumping right to number 7.
Yeah. No, it was be proactive. Be proactive, right? First things first, begin with the end in mind, first things first. Okay, those are the first 3. All right, so be proactive. And if you guys haven't read that lately, you might want to go back and take a look. But this is basically what he said, which is, you'll see familiar to almost like above the line. Events occur. Stuff happens. I saw a bumper sticker the other day. It had something else other than stuff, but I won't. So politically correct, stuff happens, right? So that's the events. So in any day, maybe even today already, stuff happened that you hadn't expected, that you didn't want to have happen, right? Got up, there was more traffic than you expected, you left late, I don't know, somebody left the light on, whatever it was, right? So events occur, and then what we control, though, is our response. This is what we control. We are response able.